Hang on. Joe doesn't have sound in his headset.
You said, yeah, let's do it.
This week, we have a very special segment, one that I've wanted to run in the program for some time on Opus X cigars. The history and all about one of my favorite cigars to smoke, as our listeners very well know. After that, we're going to do a Debonaire Ideal on our top 5 lists of non-Connecticut morning cigars to smoke. It's going to be very interesting. We took Connecticut wrappers off the table, and we said, what else do you like to smoke in the morning? So we're going to do that as well as our Stogies of the Week. All that and more on this edition of the Stogie Geek Show. This is a Security Weekly production. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geek Show.
Brought to you by M. Bombay Cigars represent the most admired cigar culture of Cuba. They select the best of the best quality tobacco to use in the aging process. M. Bombay cigars are then rolled in Costa Rica by some of the most experienced cigar rollers, giving it a unique smoking experience. The band portrays a detailed and artistic nature of our small industry. Try the M. Bombay Casera, the M. Bombay Mora, and the recently released M. Bombay Habano. M. Bombay Cigars, where the cigar is a way of life. And by Punch Cigars. For more information, check them out at www.punchcigars.com. Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo. Duran Premium Cigars, one of the fastest growing boutique cigar companies, provides smokers a portal into the old Cuban tradition of the perfect balance and the lost art of progressive flavor construction. Roberto Pelayo Duran began his career in tobacco over 2 decades ago in Havana, where his reputation grew within Cuban circles. The creation of Duran Premium Cigars has given Roberto the platform to introduce a series of cigars that offer the quality and construction that he perfected while in Cuba. Brands include the ultra-premium Roberto P. Duran signature line, Azan, Nea, and Baracoa. Duran uses a seed to humidor approach, as all of their tobacco is grown in their farms and rolled in their factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. Rollers have been carefully chosen to carry out Roberto's precise method to ensure progressive flavor in each cigar. Duran Premium Cigars invites you to make their premium your standard.
Welcome, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. I'm your host, Paul Asadorian, broadcasting live from G Unit Studios in Rhode Island, where I am here with the illustrious host, Mr. Joe Huzempa.
How are you?
Joe, welcome to the show. I'm excited. I'm very excited. I'm like chomping at the bit to light. We decided to light and cut the cigar on the air.
Yes.
Just to be different from previous shows, whatever. I don't know. Normally we don't do that. Will is not with us tonight. It's just Joe and I in studio. And we've got a fabulous lineup in the show this evening. We're both standing like drooling over our Opus X cigars.
And I hope you get the chance to explain this drink.
Let's start there.
It's tasty.
Because I was like, I need a drink that's going to pair well with an Opus X cigar. And while I'm explaining that, I want to cut and light this cigar. Maybe we'll do that now. All right, so I'll explain the drink first. I'll try and hold off. I wanted something to go well with an Opus X cigar. I wanted something with a little bit of sweetness to it. I didn't want too much tartness. That ruins really any cigar. I was very limited because we have no fruit. There's no limes, lemons, or oranges at our bar. I was like, oh, it's too late to go to the store. What am I going to do? So I need something that it's supposed to have a lemon twist in it, but I decided to make it without it. So I made a Sazerac. And the Sazerac is bourbon or rye whiskey, primarily, and then use a little bit of herb saint or absinthe. And what I like to do, regardless of what the recipe says, I think this one said rinse the inside of the glass with the herb saint or the absinthe. Some recipes have you put it in. I pretty much never put it in because that stuff is so strong. It'll ruin it. So I just swirled it in the inside of a frozen glass and discarded the rest of it. So I coated the inside of the glass. And then you do bourbon, Peychaud's bitters, which is really, for those that aren't into like bitters and stuff, Peychaud's is just a different kind of bitters. It's basically not as bitter. It's a little sweeter. And it's very red in color, which is where the color comes from in the drink. And then what else did I add? Oh, some sugar syrup. I don't know. There's like a recipe. I kind of loosely followed it. And I used, do you know what kind of bourbon is in here?
No.
Do you think it's expensive or not expensive?
It's
Middle of the road, you think?
middle of the road, yeah.
It's Jim Beam. I can't believe that's Jim Beam bourbon.
Yeah, because I guess it's the other stuff, the bitters, that it has a sweetness, subtle
but it's not
aftertaste.
too sweet. I
No.
think
Nope.
I did it. I've been getting better.
Yeah.
My Sazeracs and Negronis are very tough. They're tough drinks to make. It didn't always work out that way, but I took a sip and Joe and I were like, wow, that's really good. I'm like, that's going to go really well with the cigar.
Let's do it.
So we have, I decided to do an Opus X segment because I've wanted to do one for so long. We talk about Opus X on the show, and I think it was really Joe that said, well, I did a whole episode on the band. And I said, we should do a whole episode on Opus X. We talk about it on the show. We haven't talked about it on the show in quite some time. It's also the 20th anniversary of Opus X, even though they hit, hey, look, we have oranges. They hit the market in 95, so I'm not sure why. Why is it the 20th anniversary then? Maybe they didn't officially release it till, I don't know. But they came out in 1995.
Sure.
I know that from reading today. But it is the 20th anniversary of Opus X cigars, and the 20th anniversary Opus X cigar line came out with those blue bands and the blue boxes. So I reached back into my humidor. This is from a Cigar Family Charitable Foundation, a CFCF box, where basically they package together a whole bunch of special Opus X cigars, typically in individual coffins. I believe every release had an individual coffin in that box. They retail anywhere from $800 to a little over $1,000, depending on the year, depending on how many cigars that you get. Usually you get 22, and they call it the Opus 22. They did that recently as well. I'm not sure how many were in the 2010 box. But 7 years, that's a good amount of time, I think, to age Opus X. They age really well. And this is the Reserva de Chateau size, and it is a 7x48, we said, right?
Yes.
7x48, which I would call a Churchill. And it is, I believe, one of the original sizes. One of the reviews we were reading said it was from 2007. I think that's the one that they were reviewing. I'm pretty sure this was in the original. People can correct me if they think I'm wrong, and I'm sure they will. But I believe this was one of the original size Opus X cigars that came on the market.
I remember from a retail perspective, when I used to own a cigar shop in Providence,
Yes.
people went crazy for these.
Crazy.
Waiting list.
Crazy.
We actually had a waiting list where you would come into the shop. You could only purchase them 2 at a time. There was probably a 6 to 8 week waiting list. for that. And
well, they were only released. Some of the original releases I remember reading earlier today. In like the mid '90s, they would get 4 releases per year of 12 boxes to spread across 7 stores in some instances by particular retailers.
Yeah,
so
it was real difficult.
There was a lot of retailers that were really mad in the beginning too. I guess Carlito, or one of the Fuentes, Carlos or Carlito, or both made the decision that since California was hit with such a high tax, that they would be generous and send them some Opus X cigars, which really kind of ticked off a lot of other retailers.
Right. You're looking at the cellophane, it's got a little bit of aging on it, too.
Yeah, so this is 7 years old. Well, it just smokes beautiful, too. Oh. Beautiful construction.
Can't wait.
Really nice draw. So, yeah, and I've smoked several from this box, by the way, in Stogie Geeks history. You can go to our Stogies feed. You'll see the ones that came from this box because you notice the secondary band on that, Joe. It says 2010. That's how you know it came from that box, which I think is nice because it tells me what year they were from in case it ever gets out of the little humidor that it came in, or box that it came in. So, 7 years old. Always a joy to smoke the aged Opus. Quite a story behind Opus. I know there's a lot of intricacies in the band. The story largely, most of the facts came from Cigar Aficionado. Has done a series of articles on them, as well as a number of other online blogs and publications have done articles. Do you know what the code name? Well, you saw it because it was in the. I can't even quiz you because we shared the same notes for this. But I read this and then I remembered that someone told me that once the original code name before it became Opus X.
I didn't. I was doing my notes and we were going, so I didn't read all of the notes.
Joe, good. Do you remember what it was?
The
from
code
history?
name for the Opus X? No, I don't remember at all what it was.
So it was first called Project X from Planet 9. This came from the Cigar Aficionado article. It was a working title, and then Carlos, I believe it was Carlos Fuente, was looking through the thesaurus and saw the using of the word opulent. And he came across the word opus and thought it was perfect, combined it with the letter X, and said Opus X, and said, hey, that sounds like sex. So that's what we call this cigar.
That can happen.
So that was pretty cool. The Oliva family actually owned. So there's a whole history. If you read the history of Fuentes, there was three fires.
It was 3.
One in Tampa, one in Nicaragua, one in Honduras before they settled in the Dominican.
Right.
So the 3 fires, which kind of actually helps, I think, tell the story behind this cigar. Because Oliva, the family, owned the land that would eventually become Chateau Fuente, where all of the Opus X, the wrapper leaves, and I'm assuming the filler and binder are grown as well. All the tobacco is grown on their farms, is what I surmised from the article. Specifically, the wrapper leaf was where the original Oliva farm, which he kind of rented from Oliva, and they let him experiment with some different kinds of tobacco. And based on the soil and the composition of the tobacco fields in the farm, they decided that they would grow Corojo leaf. Now, let's back up a second. For those who remember, mid-90s, I was smoking cigars in the mid-90s. Largely, I was in college, and I was just smoking Cuban cigars and, like, whatever. And I wasn't, like, so much into, like, where the origins came from. Wrapper leaf wasn't grown in the Dominican. You believe that?
Right.
They were just not grown wrapper leaf in the Dominican because of the climate conditions. And I think the farming that was available at that time, people just weren't growing wrapper leaf. Now, what Carlito and Carlos decided to do was to grow Corojo seed. Now, we ran a segment on Corojo seed several episodes back, which is why it caught my attention, right? It was one of the original, basically plant. I mean, if you really want to get geeky, right, there's I forget what the name of the strain of plant. It's like, you know how plants have like a normal English name and then the scientific name? So there's the strain of tobacco plants that all tobacco plants come from, and then they kind of make hybrids. So the 2 main categories, one is primarily used for cigars, and one's actually used for pipe tobacco. So the original tobacco plants largely were Corojo. Corojo and Criollo eventually are the two primary types, but Corojo was the most popular wrapper type primarily because it was grown in Cuba. However, due to two factors, one being that, the Cuban Revolution happened, so that had to change. That certainly changed the economics and the dynamics of wrapper leaf. But also, it was very prone to blue mold and tobacco beetles. So there are some people who are famous for taking Corojo plants and having the original seed Corojo grown in other parts of the world, the Aroa family specifically in Honduras, and the Fuentes who took the original Corojo seed. Now, what they did is they basically genetically made hybrids, and so they changed the genetics of the Corojo plant so that it could overcome that blue mold, right? They got Havana 2000, they got Criollo, Corojo 99, which are all variants of that original plant that was prone to mold. But the original Corojo is actually grown in the Dominican, and most people will say that Opus X is a Rosado wrapper, right? Rosado is a reference to color, which I thought was interesting. I had never seen it, and never looked into it that much to figure out that it was an actual Corojo plant that was done. I always thought of it as a Rosado, and I kind of left it at that and never, researched it much beyond that. However, Rosado is just color. That's really just reference to the color. And typically it's Ecuadorian seeds that produce that kind of Rosado, Ecuadorian Rosado, that reddish hue. But other tobacco plants can as well.
Yeah.
So
this has always been a cigar that will slow down your pace.
Oh yeah.
Wherever you are, if you owe it to yourself to treat yourself to the Opus X, and it's one of those things for me. It just really slows down the time.
Now some people don't like it.
Really,
which is fine. Some people will, and almost always the person will say, well, I prefer the Añejo, which that's like a totally different show, totally different,
sure.
Different components used to make that cigar. It's a totally different blend. And a totally different story. Not fire, but hurricane or something that destroyed a farm.
I think it was a natural disaster, and it did that. And, it's I don't know. I think it's apples and oranges since we have no fruit. So I'll use that analogy. Right. It's one of those things where the añejo comes out at a specific time of year.
Right.
I've said on previous episodes since I've been here that always reminds me in New England that winter's coming. You know what I mean? Like it comes out in mid-November around here.
Around that time.
Yeah, it comes out there, and
when it's ready. I think is if you read the articles, like how.
But
But they try over the years. They've been able to make it ready.
Yep.
At certain times of the year. So.
This is smooth.
It is very, very smooth. I mean, it really hasn't. It's not aged out. I've smoked and if you look in the Stogie Geeks history, I've smoked an original Opus X Double Corona from 1995. Which are very hard to come by. And it was the first inch was amazing sweetness and awesome flavors, and then it was kind of it actually kind of aged out. Was my experience anyhow. So I think 7 years is good. 3 years is kind of a general rule of thumb. A lot of people don't like the collecting and aging for 3 years kind of thing. I get into it. I put them in Ziploc bags in my humidor, and I write the year and the month on the bag. So, and I've built up enough stock where I smoke anything that's 3 years old or longer, been aging in my humidor. So, because it is, if you smoke them when they first come in, the Opus, it's got the foot smells like cat urine. Okay. I don't know if you ever noticed that. Have you noticed that?
No.
Do you get cat urine from the foot, Joe?
I don't get cat urine from the foot at all. But then again, I wouldn't get them when they first come in. I'm usually go to the local retailer.
Get some that have been aged.
Hopefully they've been aged and properly.
Right.
And stuff like that from shipping. So,
I find that at first Opus X smells like cat urine. And then... As I don't know, I'm not an expert by any stretch, but I can tell by the sniffing the foot, at least this is how I tell, is I still get that kind of, it's a very, cat urine's probably, the Fuentes would probably want to throw things at me right now, or send a hit squad after me. But it's a very pungent aroma from the foot when they first come from the factory. But after time, when that very pungent aroma turns into this kind of cinnamon, it has a cinnamon sweetness that you get off of the foot when you smell it. That's how I think you know it's ready to smoke. Mm-hmm. Now, mileage may vary. Certain sizes certainly are different in age. I think age differently. Smaller sizes, I think age a little more. I don't know if the tobacco's not aging any more quickly. We don't have a time machine. But I tend to find that they age differently and present differently when they're shipped from the factory. So some of the smaller sizes I find, like the Fuente, which is the Corona, mm-hmm. I think that cigar is great to smoke like as soon as it comes in and put some age on it. I don't know. That's just me. Do you have a favorite size, Opus X, Joe?
I like the Churchill size, and you know, the reason being, like this is perfect. You know, the ring gauge, like the smaller ring gauge, because again, it's one of those cigar. I always mention sometimes in the previous episodes, if it's golfable, like I would not smoke an Opus X golfing.
No, it's a great point.
Because I would be like, you know, time to tee off and like, you know what I mean? And this is one of those cigars that you really owe it to yourself to just totally engulf yourself in the moment. And just, you know, I don't know. It's always been a cigar that has always taken me back.
Yeah.
You know, just that you kind of, it's kind of like a reset button. Mm-hmm. You know, if you ever want to smoke a cigar and not be, you know, I don't like to check email or anything electronic while I'm doing this. Like, I really want to focus on this, and that's why I'm enjoying this now. You know, I have a chance to have a great drink and
yes,
and be with the listeners, and it's awesome. You know, it's just a really good moment right now.
What I found interesting too was, you know, after the fires, they moved the factory to the Dominican. The Hemingway line came on the market and was met with great success. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the Fuentes really wanted something special. And I think that they were certainly motivated, right? Like, there's something to be said about someone like who's doing a startup, for example, and has to, you know, start over from scratch, maybe do it again. And, like, that's their thing and that's their passion. And to just take, like, that land and do what they did with it with the tobacco and really take a chance and grow everything on their own farms, like that was a risky thing. I never realized like how risky that was for the Fuentes to do that. Like there was no wrapper leaf being grown in the Dominican, and then here they are taking this Corojo seed, which is known to have issues, and they're growing it in the Dominican. And lo and behold, like they produced one of the most popular, sought-after cigar lines. It was really like the first like. I'd heard it described as the first cult cigar.
Oh, for sure.
I think it was like the first like boutique cigar that people chase after cigars all the time now. Mm-hmm. I think this was one of the only ones back then or one of the more popular ones that people were chasing.
Right. And they were not, I think they were chasing it just by default because you could never, hardly ever walk into a shop and buy
find
one.
It.
And buy one.
It's much more available today, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, during the boom, that whole late 90s. I mean, also timing. It came out at a great time. A lot of people were smoking cigars. This is a phenomenal after dinner smoke. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not too strong. You know, as opposed to the Añejo, right? If you're in there, yep. It's not as short as the Hemingway. Like this is I've had a good meal. Let me have a good cigar.
It is when it first comes from it's a very strong cigar. Yeah. It remains a strong cigar for some time. I mean, so I find
so you
differences in sizes.
You call it medium?
I would call it
Barely medium?
Strength-wise, I would call it full in a lot of sizes when it first hits the market from the factory and hits the retailer. I think it definitely diminishes in strength, but holds its flavor for 10 or more years. Right in your human, I think the original releases were just kind of aging out a couple of years ago when I smoked one. So that's my assessment now. Your mileage may vary, the size might be different, whatever.
Did you read the notes on the band pot?
I have not.
The band pot is.
I was leaving the band part to you. I was trying to cover the history behind everything that's going on.
Yeah.
I do have another fact that I found was absolutely fascinating. They actually all the tobacco for the Opus X wrapper binder filler is produced on their farms or farms that they own and control. Whatever's left over from making Opus X, you know what they do with it?
Don't they make pipe?
Nope, they
Nope.
destroy it.
No.
They destroy it. According to the Cigar Aficionado article with
I figured they would
Carlito
resell it, maybe
Fuente.
go to like a higher end pipe. Or,
You know why they don't do that? So no one else can claim that their cigar has tobacco that's Opus X in their cigar. They want to be the only Opus X cigar on the market. They don't want anyone else to even claim that, oh, this cigar has some of the same tobacco as Opus X. Because other people are benefiting from the brand and the name.
Sure.
And before we get to the band, there was a trade. Speaking of protecting the trademark, there was a trademark dispute.
Yeah, I was going to go there too. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
yeah. No, from a business perspective, okay, you have this beautiful product and people are sought after it and people seek it and it's got a lot of buzz around it. And then all of a sudden,
also it takes years to go from seed to cigar.
Sure.
I mean, at least someone will correct me if I'm wrong. At least 2 years before you get from seed to cigar.
I would.
It's something like that
for good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. For good stuff, probably I would say longer than that.
For good stuff, I know some of the boutiques are like, wait a minute, but it's they were going through business, and then all of a sudden, they get a letter. It's a cease and desist letter. Usually, is how
They
it
wanted
starts.
them. It was Opus One Wine, who was bought by some, I forget the parent company, but they got the trademark, which was used as a trademark for pipe tobacco at one time, but they acquired that trademark and used it for wine. And they wanted them not only to cease and desist, and they wanted them to destroy any products
Right.
that had that name on it.
Right. And
That's crazy.
Yeah, and obviously,
And the Fuentes fought. I mean,
Yeah.
for those who don't know, like a trademark battle can go on for several years and be very, very expensive and really ugly.
but when when you have a family behind the brand, and we'll get to that when we talk about the band, very family story.
Yes.
It actually tells a story, and if you feel like you have a great product, and you want to defend yourself. We have processes for that are very expensive.
And they're very laborious, very lengthy,
Yep.
And very expensive. And they fought it in court, and they essentially won.
So was it originally supposed to, toggling back, was it originally supposed to be like called Project X, or they just called it?
Oh, it was Project. Did we even get to that?
You had started with that.
Project X from Planet 9 was the working title.
Yeah.
I don't think did I say that on the air? I might not.
Yeah.
I said it in my head. Did I verbalize it?
Oh, yes, you did.
A lot of times I had voices in my head.
Well, that's another podcast.
Be a good name for a podcast. The voices in my head. That might be trademarked though. So it was actually wine, a wine company, and they eventually won. The judge basically said, you have two distinct products in two different markets that won't cause confusion from the consumer. And in one of the articles I read, they said that Carlito or Carlos, I think, has the picture of the article from the Tampa newspaper where they won the trademark suit.
Yeah.
And apparently is still bitter about it 20 years later.
Oh, sure.
You know what? I haven't been through a similar process. In a trademark dispute, I can't say that I blame him.
Yeah.
He describes it as the most stressful time in his life, and I really have a deep appreciation for that, having been through similar.
Well,
I didn't end up going to court over it. But
Well, what do you do? I mean, what would have happened if they would have had to call it someone else? What do you call it? You can't get... Project X from Planet 9 is a...
Can you imagine if we're sitting here smoking Project X from Planet 9?
You know what I mean? It's...
And there was spaceships on it. There's probably an alternate universe where it is called Project X from Planet 9.
Maybe.
And the band has spaceships on it.
That'd be cool.
I watch too much science fiction.
No, that's great. That's great. That's great. But can you imagine putting that on a label? Project X.
No, because it's such an iconic band and really heralded as one of the nicest bands to look at. And you have more information on that, too. I never looked into what all the things meant.
Well, yeah, no, it was one of those things that I came across in my travels. And if you take apart the band here, right? So we got the exact same band, so I'm excited about that, right? Every element of the Arturo Fuente Opus X band has sentimental symbolism and hidden meaning, right? It's a great article here. Cigar Aficionado had posted this, and I guess we can start. And what's great about this is it actually has the label.
Yeah.
Yep, there's actually a diagram. So it has 6 points here, And point number 1 is the half oval. In addition to forming the first half of the O, so that would be right before the opus, right? It also serves as the letter C, which represents the company's patriarch, Carlos Fluente Sr. So right over here, right? So
Trying to get my band.
So if you So if you match the diagram, right, it's right before the X. So you have the X and it's right there. So that right there is the C.
Yeah.
Right, is the C over there. So it's paying homage to the founder, right? This I found fascinating, and I mentioned this very briefly on a previous show when we started going down this road. Point number 2, behind the big X there is an orange glow, okay? And it's the nickel, what it represents is the nickel mines in the mountains that radiate an amber light that can be seen from the chateau on the tobacco farm.
Chateau Fluente, the farm.
Yep,
right.
So on the farm. So that light, that ambient there, with the amber farms, it just produces a light that reminds them of that. And from a design perspective, every time I smoke a cigar, I always go to the label.
You want to understand the story behind it, yeah.
That, and I also peel off the label. Like, I don't smoke it with the band. I don't know why.
I let it get further down typically, so the band kind of heats up and loosens the glue that holds it together.
Yeah. If it's hard to peel off, I won't peel it off.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get the leaf, but I usually wait and see. So, and then when I'm at a shop, or if I'm at pretty much any time other than when I'm doing an activity with a cigar, I always take a couple of moments to look at the band, to look at the band, because 10 out of 10 times, there was some sort of a board meeting or some sort of a factory meeting,
right,
saying, okay, we got this great product. How are we going to market it? It's got to look great for presentation. Some are more creative than others, but moving on. Number 3 is the die cut style. So the band kind of has this die cut that goes all around and kind of gives it this 3D image here. And it says the die cut shape of the band, it is the same geometric pattern as most of the Arturo Fluente cigar bands that are from the flagship Don Carlos Gran Reserva. So most of the bands mimic the actual, because the Fluente band would usually just have like this size, this die cut there.
Oh, I see.
So it's kind of like a shield.
There's like a band on a band kind of thing.
Right. So it's like a band on the band, which I thought was pretty neat. Also, point number 4 here, all on the bottom of the band, there's like this torn edge. So it's kind of jagged on the bottom there, and the torn edge is an allusion to Fluente Jr.'s childhood. As a boy, he tore a Valentine down in the middle, giving the first half to his sweetheart and keeping it to the other. So now we're moving to the next generation, right?
Right.
And he must have had a moment, boy girl moment.
Yeah.
That was pretty close to him, and he tore the thing. There's no news if it worked out between him and the Valentine, but
I think I remember hearing that story now that you say that.
He tore it and whatnot. Because if you look at the band, it looks like
it is this torn at the bottom.
It looks unfinished. It looks unfinished, and I will tell you, from a graphic design perspective, it's not an easy band to mimic and I don't want to say counterfeit, but it's not an easy band to
replicate,
to recreate. Yeah, sure. The double F. So obviously in the middle you have the big X, the big red X, and then you have the double F kind of wrapped around there. And that point there is the bond between father and son is central to the monogram. Right, so it's right in the middle, got into the X, and then the pair of F symbolizes both Fluentes, Senior, Carlos Senior, and Carlito Jr. So it's I guess it's passing the torch, family bond. It's basically, to me, this is like a crest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, in the Middle Ages, or you have.
Well, and it's
if there was a flag hanging,
it would be this, right?
Waving, it would definitely be this, because they obviously took the time out to make sure that they have all of these points here. And then the right half of the oval, you remember how we began with the left half, which had the C? The right half of the oval, in addition to forming the second half of the O, it also serves as a backwards letter C, which represents junior.
Gotcha.
So again, they're obviously strong family, strong family that they wanted the tell the story, and who knows if that lawsuit went the other way, it could have broke them maybe.
Right.
You never know how much it was or something that. You never know. There's certain things that have to happen in business at a certain time.
Yes.
In order for it to be a catalyst for how we perceive it today. So
And it's typically referred to as Fuente Opus X.
Yes. Yep.
And Fuente is a size.
Yes. Yep.
Which I always found very confusing, along with all of the different sizes and different variations of Opus X, which are probably different segments.
Sure.
Like Lost City has its whole Lost City. I don't know how much tobacco. I don't think it shares all that much tobacco with Opus X. I forget what, if any, there are ties to the Lost City. But that was the one where they're filming the movie and with Andy Garcia and all that stuff. And that's what they called the farm and blah, blah, blah. So they have that. And then there's all different kinds of different variants of Opus X out there. And the sizes are just, so some, I kind of put the sizes for me into three different categories, right? There's the regular production sizes, which, don't get me wrong, it is, to my knowledge, the same tobacco, right? Some of the really special ones, you can see it looks like it has a green band going through some of them. Like they obviously have some Candela. There's a Maduro version of the Opus X wrapper, which not much has been published about or written about. I don't know if it's the same. One can only surmise it's the same Rosado, Corojo-based wrapper that they've just put through a Maduro process to get that, but who knows. And then, so there's regular production, which I tell everyone, you buy some, age it. I think it's great. And then whatever sizes are available, and everyone has their favorites. I like the Power Ranger is great. That Super XXX Bellicoso, that's a great smoke. Fuente is a great size. Those are some of my favorite regular production. The Petite Corona is really good too. Those are some really good regular production sizes. Then you've got like the limited release sizes, which you get in the Charitable Foundation, or they kind of do like every once in a while. And those are either limited to special edition gift sets, like the Fuente BBMF, Big Bad Mother, you know what, right? And we've reviewed those in the show. We've done whole segments on those shows. Those are awesome. They make one in the Maduro, which is friggin' out of this world, dude. Holy crap. If I had two more of those, we'd do another segment. So typically, like the BBMF, you'll never see come to a retailer. So I guess there's kind of like a 1 in a 1A is like there are some sizes that very rarely end up at retailers in full boxes, but I have seen the Opus X Love Affair come out in a full box at a retailer, and I've seen that in their special edition boxes as well. But like I've never seen a box of BBMFs anywhere at a retailer. So there are some special sizes that kind of creep in and will get sent to retailers sometime. I love the Love Affair size. That probably is my favorite size. I happen to buy a box of those because you could find them like here and there and different gift sets and the Cigar Family Charitable Foundation boxes. So then there are there's like regular production, some special releases to retailers. Then there's the very limited edition sizes. Which again come in some of the special gift sets, and they make them now. They're more readily available. You can buy them, and we've got a couple here in the studio. They're like in the 5-pack gift pack kind of things. The story boxes they call them. It comes with like a BBMF and some other special ones, and they're different every year. Is what they come with. So that's a great thing to look for. Those are also very limited sizes. Then there's after that, there's limited sizes that the Fuente family has just done for special events over the years. and some are harder to find than others, but mostly they're like unicorns, and mostly I think they're unicorns that speak Estonian. Really, like you're just never going to see them unless you visit Chateau Fuente and one of the Fuentes hands you one. And there actually have been posts to various cigar media outlets of people that have they've taken pictures. Cigar Aficionado did one. It was like 5 special sizes. One was called like the PJ, and he wouldn't tell them the meaning behind it, which implies it has some kind of dirty meaning, which is kind of what the article was implying. And they've got like the LFMF, little fat mother, and then they've got different sizes. Some of them are kind of dirty, which makes me think the PJ is kind of a dirty. He said you do it after some activity. That's all he would say.
There you go.
So one can only surmise what that activity is.
Right.
They did Lanceros came to retailers. Lanceros are sized typically in the CFCF boxes, but a couple of years ago they did a release, and I haven't seen it since then. It's got to be 3 years now. They did an Opus X Lancero that came in boxes of 10. I have one in my humidor, actually. That's another show. We'll do a couple of those and see how they're aging.
Yeah, awesome. I'm looking at while you're talking. I'm listening. I'm looking at the. You know how you said it was? It had a double band for this edition. In the 2010 different label here, it looks like they kept everything except for the 2 Cs.
Yeah,
so it's
the
still
secondary band is
So the secondary band, so it still has the orange glow. It still has the die cut a little bit.
The hooks are there's only 2 hooks in there instead of. Oh no, there's 4 hooks. They're just in different places.
Yeah, right.
I see them. Yeah, I see them now.
I was actually tilting it, like trying to see if it did a C or whatever. But yeah, and he still has that torn edge at the bottom. You know the bottom there,
right?
That frayed jagged edge. He's got that, and like I said, he's got that orange glow. And the orange glow, even on the original wrapper, it peeks out again on the back. Over here when it gets past the die cut, so it's pretty neat how they just
it's pretty cool.
They wanted it to be that color, and just really tell the story over there. So I think it's pretty cool. It's definitely.
What was I going to say? The rollers that roll the cigars. In the articles that I read said that there was a whole article on a roller who actually owns his own shop now somewhere in Pennsylvania, I think.
It's like the best of the best of the factory, right?
Yeah, but like they say that to be a roller at Fuente, they don't take rollers that have been rolling cigars anywhere else because they've already learned bad habits, according to the Fuentes. Which I thought from a business standpoint is pretty funny.
Yes.
But so they take people who do not know how to roll cigars and they groom them and they take the best of the best. And the articles that I read were very consistent in saying that once a roller is able and given the privilege to roll Opus X, they give them one size. And they only roll that one size. Like the roller, I forget his name, it's in there.
Well, you know why they probably do that from a business perspective? For consistency.
Franklin Pichardo.
Okay. He
was like the Perfection X number 2 guy. That's all he rolled. That's all he rolled was that size. You get one size to roll, and that's it.
Right.
Which I thought was kind of interesting. So,
have you ever been to a cigar rolling event?
Yeah.
You see them, and what I find fascinating is, let's say, X amount of tobacco equals 20 sticks, right? And it's amazing how they construct it when they get really close to the end. So they have like limited tobacco left, and then they get it. And it's amazing how what they peel off to make X amount of sticks is usually pretty close.
Right.
There's not a lot of waste at all, which I'm sure is the case with these. They got to be really watching for that quality and trying to get it consistent and stuff like that for sure.
One day when Les Mann was on the show, he gave me. That Fuentes had given him, it was an Opus X, but it was a box pressed.
Okay.
And I believe it was box pressed.
Lightly pressed or really box pressed?
Lightly box pressed. Never seen it before. It was freaking awesome. Holy crap. That was one of those super rare ones that you have to be gifted. Right?
Sure.
So I have smoked one of those before. The other thing that I was told from a source that is close to the Fuente Opus X kind of history in cigars is that they obviously use very specific components from their farms in the tobacco, so much so that they destroy the rest of it, right? And the Fuentes refuse to add any other leaf that would improve the burn It's all about their ingredients that they started with, from day one and have groomed for the past 20 years in their farms, and that there's no tobaccos in there that would improve the burn. And if you've noticed, like, a lot of times you got to pay a little attention, you got to relight kind of here and there with the Opus X. And I was told because they didn't want to put anything else in it that would just, like, improve the burn. So they use a different leaf, change to a different leaf that maybe burned differently. Like, they want to keep the recipe the same and not deviate from that.
Yeah, it does have a slow burn. It does have a.
And sometimes it gets weird, and you got to relight it more. It doesn't lose anything when you relight it, though.
No,
I find.
No, I don't find. I know some people get pretty rowdy with that. It's got to be a certain amount of ash before they go through and stuff like that. I don't know. I guess to each their own, but it does have a slow burn. Like I said, I think it's one of those cigars. It'll stop you in your tracks.
Yep.
Especially with this.
Especially if it's right off the truck. Woo.
Yeah, especially in this crazy world where things get pretty rowdy. It just, I don't know, it just takes you back. I'm sitting here right now saying this is like a really, really good smoke. It
does smoke slow. Yeah, this cigar, and just pause and talk about how this cigar smoke is just awesome.
Yeah.
I love the leathery component to Opus X. I like that. I know leather's like a weird thing to describe as far, like, because not many people walk around eating leather. I mean, some might. Shoelaces, maybe. I don't know,
but
belts. Sometimes I gnaw my belt just to get the taste of leather, so I can associate it with.
When I describe leather, I
don't know if I want you describing leather on the show.
Leather plates, right?
Not that kind of show, Joe.
No, like I think it's
not like 50 Shades of Grey.
No. It lingers in it kind of lingers on your palate. And that's exactly what this is doing. You take a sip of this, and then go to this.
Excuse me.
And then you have you just let the smoke linger on your palate, and you're like, wow, this is.
It paired very well with the Sazerac.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
What else would you pair with it if you didn't?
It's a good question. I usually pair Scotch with the Opus X, Scotch or bourbon. I really have yet to find a Scotch or bourbon that really doesn't kind of go with the Opus X.
Right.
Cognac, too.
Yeah.
We can switch to cognac next if you want, actually.
Well, we can see.
Cognac.
We can see. But I think...
that would go really well with this.
I don't know. Opus X, for me, time period of the day, it's usually in the morning. He's usually in the morning.
A morning Opus. Mine's always after dinner.
Long are the days of having dinner and then having a cigar.
Yeah,
you have to go to separate places now. If you're with friends, they lose momentum. People start looking at the clocks. Emails start going in. And, and they get kind of rowdy. But I don't know. I've always paired it with coffee or a bourbon. Definitely a bourbon.
Or coffee and bourbon together, which is fabulous, by the way.
Yeah, I try not to do that in the morning.
If you have a rough morning, dude, I'm telling you, a little bourbon in your coffee, it makes your day.
I
don't know if I could smoke an Opus X in the morning, though.
No.
We're going to talk about morning cigars next.
Yes, that's...
Opus X is not on my list, dude.
Really?
If all the more power to you if you can take down an Opus X in the morning.
Oh, yeah, I could definitely do it. I open Opus X. Some of my choices, I'm sure...
some people do
some of the listeners are going to either be like, this kid's crazy.
Some people do like the fuller-bodied and stronger cigars in the morning, and, if that's your thing, that's cool. Not for me.
Me specifically, it's the mood. It's the mood. Like if I say, okay, this is going to be the day where my time for period to have a cigar, call it 10 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, right? And I'm going to have one good one, right? So I want a good one.
Yeah, you're not worried about strength at that point.
I says,
you're like, give me the Opus X.
I want a good cigar to take me back or whatever. Especially like next week, I have all night appointments.
Yeah.
So I'm be smoking mostly in the morning.
What's the the sweetness that you get from it? I always go back to cinnamon. I think it's very much in that category of cinnamon. It's not a sugary sweetness.
You don't get a little bit of nut, a little bit of...
A little bit.
Yes. Little bit.
And this one, yes.
Yes. Describe cinnamon. Like when I get the foot part.
Like it's not
like
it's not
sweet.
Yeah, it's not. It's like cinnamon with some sugar in it. You know what I'm saying? Because you get like a little bit of that bite. I don't know. And on the retrohale, I tend to my senses get cinnamon. Largely because when I sniff the foot, I get cinnamon, like a cinnamon sugary kind of sweetness.
Yeah, it has a sweet aftertaste for sure.
Yeah, I love that about that leather with the sweetness is really what draws me back. Now, it's interesting if you smoke a Opus X Maduro, totally different kind of sweetness.
For sure.
It's a dark cherry sweetness all day long, and
Yeah.
it is awesome.
It's one of those cigars. It just lingers. The wrapper lingers. The burn lingers. Even the smoke to just come in here. It's not.
It's not like a quick smoking cigar, but you're right. It forces you to take your time.
Yes.
With it.
Yep. That's why. Golfing, the only Autor Fuente I do is the short story. It's great when you got 2 holes left. I just keep a short story on my
That's
golf.
true. Time-wise and balancing is important.
Time is balancing, especially, like I said, the longer the days, you can take your cigar inside and go have your burger at the 19th hole.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got 2 holes left. Chances are you've already had a cigar or 2. You've already had a couple of drinks, and you bullet cut that the short story. It's a great golf cigar.
Nice.
Definitely. And I think the short story, and let me know if I'm crazy. It's the same. It's got to be the same format for me. It still has that lingering effect, but because it's a smaller, portable version, if you will, especially say if you're fishing or doing an activity, it does have that. It should stop you in your tracks.
Yeah.
Autor Fuente to me has been known for
Commands your attention, certainly.
Yep.
Alrighty, with that, we are going to take a very short break and come back with our Debonaire Ideal segment, non-Connecticut cigars to smoke in the morning. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
Round like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning, like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind.
Visit StogieGeeks.com/Debonaire for a list of retailers who carry Debonaire cigars. Buy some today and get a little more Debonaire.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geeks Show. I'm here with Joe Hozempa to do the Debonaire Ideal segment for this evening. Non-Connecticut shade cigars to smoke in the morning. By coincidence, actually, the one I smoked this morning that's on my list is a Debonaire cigar.
Really?
How about that?
What'd you have?
Have you smoked a lot of Debonaire yet?
I have not got into it yet.
We'll get you some.
Good.
We'll get you some.
I'm looking forward to it.
The one that I smoked is the Debonaire. It's in the natural original Debonaire series, which is Nicaraguan Habano wrapper. And I listed out all my different wrappers that were non-Connecticut. That was the point of this segment. Joe and I were talking actually one day last week, and we were talking about morning cigars because it was morning when we were next door. And we said, hey, you know, I get tired of smoking Connecticut's, or I want a morning cigar. It's not. I don't know how we got on the subject. And I'm like, we could probably come up with a list. And Joe's like, yeah, like this one, that one, this one, and that one. I'm like, yeah, kind of like that list.
Yeah. This segment is right up my alley. Well, I don't want to say I'm not a Connecticut guy, but when I look for a cigar, depending on either time of day, it doesn't matter. Connecticut is usually not a go-to for me.
Now I could probably dazzle you with some Connecticut's.
Then, by all means,
because I smoked a ton of them.
Yeah, I smoked a ton of them. I don't know. The palate like something a little stronger.
I find them. Well, the reason I find it interesting is because a lot of people say, well, I don't like Connecticut cigars, so I kind of just take that as a challenge to go find like really awesome Connecticut cigars.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would never go
despite
off
my name, I am Italian. I'm actually mostly Italian, and I'm like, no, I want to prove you wrong. Connecticut's are awesome, but I can't see people's point because there are some Connecticut's that just, especially after breakfast, it just doesn't have enough body. Enough flavor, enough oomph to really like let you know that you're smoking a cigar, and so I do like a lot of non-Connecticut's in the morning, and I like to deviate from that. So I'll start with, and these are in no particular order, my Debonaire First Degree. This is like a little petite Corona, but it's like they took, you ever see the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Yes.
It's like they took a full-size Salamone, and they did the like zapping with the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and they shrunk it down into a petite Corona. That's a First Degree Nicaraguan Habano wrapper. I find them to be not very strong. I wouldn't say mild, but not like a medium, mild to medium. Not mild, I would say medium. Medium, but not like overpowering, right? And the thing I've said about this cigar in the past, and I'll say it again because I smoked one on my way in this morning, is that it's a small cigar that smokes like a Robusto. Like it gives you the feeling that you're smoking a big cigar. And that's a lot of times why I won't reach for those smaller sizes. We were talking about cigarillos earlier. Largely why I won't reach for those is because I don't really feel like I'm smoking a cigar. I'm not getting enough smoke. It's burning too hot. And those are the issues that I have with the like cigarillo kind of style cigars, or even really small petite Coronas. This really small petite Corona, it's like I'm smoking a Robusto, but it's got the smoking time down to between. I mean, you could stretch it for 30 minutes if you wanted to. And I've smoked them like right down to the nub too. Like my fingers are burning off on them, and they're still smoking great. And I've told Phil this in the past, and they're a sponsor and all that stuff. But I like this cigar. It's good for you. You were talking before about matching like your. This is what we do as cigar nerds, right? We figure out how much time that we have to smoke a cigar based on our schedule for the day. Drive into work, time in between meetings, what hole I'm on the golf course, how much more time I got fishing before I have to move to the next spot.
Do I want to catch fish or do I want to catch the suntan?
Yeah, like there's lots of factors that play into this. Very important factors for cigar smoking activity.
We should do a show on factors per blend.
Choosing your size and style based on the conditions and the time and the schedule for the day. Mm-hmm. My commute into work is like 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So, but I can smoke when I get into work too.
Yep.
But I don't know if like I got to stop and do an errand or something like that factors into the, like which cigar I might light. So I light something up on my way in most of the time. And sometimes that's a big cigar, and I just finish smoking when I get in the office. Mm-hmm. But other times I may want to have one before breakfast. So I'll use my time like in the car, take the long way, stop and do an errand, whatever, get a coffee at a drive-thru or something, which adds time to my commute. And I can sit in the car and just got to enjoy my cigar. So for that reason, that's why I like the first degree, because I'm not in a big full-on commitment. I may have this is a terrible thing. I may have a really rough review schedule for the day, right? Like I got to smoke like 4 cigars that day for my review schedule.
Right.
Poor me. I got to sit back and smoke cigars, and I want to get something.
I'm starting to have that problem with you now. I'm starting to have
You're
that
like,
problem.
wow, I got to have like 2 more cigars today. I'm going to find the time for that. So I'll smoke a smaller cigar in the morning. So that was my first pick. So what's on your list, Joe?
Well, I don't have the luxury of a commute. My office
Here's your
for
car.
my business. No. My office for my business is 4 telephone poles from my house.
And you can't smoke in your office.
And I can't smoke in my office.
That's a shame.
And I've tried to walk to my office. Okay, I'm gonna walk to my office and have a cigar. It just doesn't do it for me.
No.
Like I truly, when I smoke a cigar, I like to be
sitting in an environment. Yeah.
I'm not sitting there reading a book about philosophy and contemplate. I get some work done, but I truly want to enjoy the cigar. If people or a team or a company took the time to tell their story, I want to be able to say, oh wow, I've had this and I like it, or I don't like it, or whichever. But this cigar last year, when I first had this cigar, I was hooked on this cigar. And I'm not, when I mean hooked, I mean completely, like, I don't know if you've had a cigar, and lately when you've been giving me cigars to review, it would stop me in my tracks, or I would, I'm starting to pay attention more to the process, and I hope my reviews are getting better and better, but, it's one of those things where, this cigar, I wanted one like every day for like 3 months straight.
It happens. Not every cigar you smoke, right?
Yeah,
but you definitely get latched. I've talked on the show about ones I get latched onto.
It's like you're like, I like crave this. Like you need your morning coffee, or whatever. Like
you want that cigar.
You're like, I want this cigar, and good, bad, and different. Here it goes. Right. It's the Elohio, right? LSV Robusto.
The LSV is the darker.
Yeah, say it comes. I guess it comes in the Habano. I don't like the Habano.
May or may not be on my list. So it is on my list. The Habano's on my list.
Yeah, the Habano, the Habano, and it's funny because
what is the wrapper on that? Is it a Nicaraguan?
It's
they're all Nicaraguan puros, right?
Yeah. It's Nicaraguan Somoto.
Sumatra?
No, SOMOTO. That's
Somoto.
Yeah. Nicaraguan Somoto, SOMOTO, Somoto. And I don't know, there's something about, like, and this is one of those cigars in the morning. I love it for email to Robusto, so I cut it and keep it in my mouth. Don't light it yet. Let it go like 5 minutes, and you just have it. Because even the wrapper, to me, I don't know what it is or what's in this thing.
No, they're good. Yeah,
I don't know if it's crack or what.
In the early days of Stogie Geeks, we discovered Elohio, and Tim Magarini was really big on the cigar that you like, the LSV Robusto. He smoked boxes of them.
Yeah,
boxes of them.
Even John says, as much as you like that cigar, you still, even today, like, you can never pronounce it right.
Yeah,
I always pronounce it all different names.
We were too in the beginning.
Yeah,
it took. The only reason I correct is because we've said it wrong so many times and gotten hate mail.
So it's Elohio.
Yeah.
This cigar, like I said, binder filler, Nicaraguan. Love it in the morning. Have it in the morning.
Yeah, cause it's medium. It's not overly strong, but it's got some good body to it as well.
Had it pre-show today.
I like the Habano. Now, the one I have in here is the Habano Lancero, but they make a Habano Robusto and a couple of Churchill and a couple different sizes. They make the larger limited edition Robusto. They made a Salomon, Joe, that was out of this friggin' world. It was so good. It was so good. But that's a Nicaraguan Habano on the Elogio Habano. Again, I've had it in the Lancero and the Robusto. I really like it. I think it's a little more toned down than the LSV.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're making me want to go smoke the LSV.
There's only 4 left, and I've heard that they're not.
You're gone. They're spoken for, huh?
No. You know,
4 boxes or 4 cigars?
4 cigars.
You're smoking them.
I don't know. It's been a go-to. Like
that's it. But you're not the only Stogie geek that's gotten addicted to those like that. Because Tim was addicted to those too.
I mean, I don't know what it is. Like, and I had it, and I was like, all right, cool. Then I had it again, and I was like, I'm like hooked. And I still am. I mean, I was in the humidor today.
What are you going to do after the 4 are gone in there? You have to go online, Joe, and buy them.
No, I won't do that.
I don't think there's any other retailer in Rhode Island that carries Elogio. So.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're not. I don't know. It's maybe we'll do like a cry for help. You can send them to the studio. Help Joe's addiction or something like that. Everybody sends you cigars. Nobody sends me any yet. Yeah. I'm still waiting for my first package. Attention, Joe.
That's right.
Stogie Geeks. What is it? 24 Quaker Lane.
Yeah.
24 Quaker Lane, Unit G, Warwick, Rhode Island. 02886. Attention, Joe. Right there, and then maybe I'll get a care package or something like that, and you can call me and I'll come.
I'm sure you will now. There may not be cigars in it, but you're gonna get something. You get that stuff I give my kids on Christmas. It looks like coal, but it's candy.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to get.
You actually gave that to them?
I did one year, yeah. It didn't go over too well.
No, I'm sure. I'm sure it didn't. Were there tears involved? Or?
No, I think my son threw it probably at me or on the ground or in my general direction.
There you go. Another choice I had.
Hold on. No, I did one. No, it's your turn. Sorry.
We're not going back and forth. You want to go?
No, because I went already. I didn't realize we went together.
Okay.
Which sounds weird.
It's okay.
Don't cross the streams. It's fine.
It's all good. It's all good. Esteban Carrera's Chupacabra Hellcat.
Chupacabra.
Yes. Chupacabra. Esteban Carrera's Chupacabra Hellcat. I talked about this as a stick last week, and
well, yeah, I don't think I've had this one.
I went again in the morning. It was one of those cigars.
Yeah, they have all the Esteban Carrera stuff next door now. We've been smoking through some of it.
Yes. Yep.
Trying to see which. Okay.
Yep. Obviously, it came out in 2012. Awesome smoke. It's box press. I'm not.
Oh yeah, I've had this.
I'm not
before.
a box press in me. Believe it or not, I almost as I don't dislike box presses, but sometimes the way they feel in my hand is I don't know what it is. I know that sounds crazy. Does that sound crazy? Am I being crazy?
You are crazy.
Okay.
What were you saying? I was reading the chat room.
No, I'm saying like the box press. Like I would have never tried this, and I even said to.
See, but I like box presses.
Yeah.
I love box presses actually.
See, I twirl, I guess, or roll.
You can't really do that with a box press.
Can't.
Yeah, you drop it.
It
gets awkward.
Yeah. It's good smoke in the morning. Good smoke in the morning. Had it a bunch of times now.
I reviewed this one.
You did?
If we look hard enough, we might be able to find it.
Yep. It's got that Mexican San Andreas wrapper.
Yes.
Will and I had spoke briefly about that. How that for me, the Mexican wrap is it burns quick. So when not real quick like a Tiamo, but it'll burn some quicker. It's a good smoke, even though the Toro size, it's only about a 55-minute smoke there.
I like a good Cameroon in the morning. Mm-hmm. I know the Don Carlos. It's a great Cameroon cigar. There's a lot of iconic Cameroon cigars we've talked about in the show's history. One that I like in the morning is the La Aurora Cameroon Preferido. I had one with some age on it. I rated it very high in the Stogie Geeks rating system. When Manuel Lanoa, who's the master blender for La Aurora, was here and we did the blending kit, he had a little Cameroon Preferido, the smaller size, I forget the number on it. It was a smaller one in that kit. And we were all smoking. I'm like, wow, this thing is friggin' amazing. Like, we were smoking all these other cigars, like little burritos, part of the blending experience, blending kit seminar thing. And we were just hitting Manuel's like, all right, let's go on to the next one. We were like, no, wait a minute. Can we finish this one? Like, we were all really enjoying this cigar. Like, you blended it, Manuel. Like, you did a fantastic job, and we want to finish smoking it because it's so awesome. And that's when I loved it. I need to get back to. I had a lot of Cameroon Preferitos in the past, actually, that I used to smoke in the morning, now that I think of it. For Mr. J's had, like, a box that had been aging in the back for a while. Mm-hmm. This is one to age. And when they're aged, they lose a little bit of their strength, and you can definitely smoke them in the morning all day long. Even straight off the truck, so to speak, you can smoke this cigar in the morning. Have you smoked this one?
Yes.
Preferito Cameroon. I think it's absolutely fantastic. There's a lot of different, there's different Preferito sizes, which are good, which is part of my top recommendation. They actually made this in a Robusto size, too. And they still do to this day. I think they re-released those with some different packaging. And then there's ones that are like a tier below, a little cheaper. So Preferitos are kind of the more premium offering. And then you can get the like regular sized ones I've had in the Robusto. I still prefer the Preferito size. So I would say spend the extra money in the Preferito Cameroons. Really all the sizes are good. So what else you got, Joe?
The sobremesa. In the morning.
Yeah, people like this in the morning.
I like it in the morning. It's not,
Maybe I need to smoke these in the morning because I'm not a huge Sobremesa fan.
Really?
I mean, I love
like
Steve.
the other blend? The meat keto?
The meat Carita is just Uncle Largo. Smoke those things all day long.
Yeah.
Love that. It was my number one cigar last year.
Okay.
And Steve very graciously recognized that on Facebook. And when Steve was here, I told him, I like the meat Carita better than the than the Sobremesa. And I would dislike Sobremesa. It's just, it's not one that I often reach for. However, I like the Petit Corona size. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
That's a newer size.
Yep.
I think that one is spectacular. I would probably box split, maybe box worthy that cigar. But I haven't smoked the other sizes in the morning. Maybe I need to go back and smoke them. It's a different experience smoking in the morning. I think you get more of the flavors and the nuances when it's your first cigar of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, it depends on schedules and weeks. Like next week will be mostly morning smokes for me. Mm-hmm. Morning, early afternoon. Got a lot of board meetings and stuff at night. But
there you go.
It's one of those things where I don't know. With the Sobremesa, smaller the size, the better for me. Mm-hmm. I tried to run the bigger sizes.
I agree. That's why I like the small size. Is the one I like the best.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Definitely, it just does it for me in the morning. It's good. It's it's obviously a little stronger than a Connecticut. Good blend. Obviously, most of my pairings are coffee in the morning. I love coffee in the morning and cigar.
Oh yeah.
Unless
we've got this Hawaiian Kona coffee that I got.
Okay.
It's real Kona coffee. It's not like the ones you see at the dollar store for.
Yeah.
They call it Kona coffee. Yeah. And there's like one Kona bean in the whole bag of rest of like crappy coffee. Like this, I believe this is actual Kona coffee. If it's not, it's still really good. Mm-hmm. We've been drinking that here in the studio. It's going pretty fast too. And it was like $32 for 14 ounces. So it may not be making a reappearance anytime soon.
Yeah, for sure.
At that price. So
yeah.
Joe, I don't know if you smoked this line. This one's somewhat infamous in Stogie Geeks history. It's the Davidoff Colorado Claro blend.
Not the Colorado blend, no.
It comes in, I want to say it's 3 different sizes. They may have added a 4th. I think they did add a 4th a couple years ago. But it comes in a Colorado Short Perfecto, which is exactly as I said, basically a Short Perfecto. And it comes in... Is it a box press pyramid or pyramid? I don't think it's box press. It might be a slight box press to it. Special T. It comes in as well. So it comes in a couple. Those are the 2 sizes I've always liked the best. Those that have listened to the Stogie Geeks for a while know it is not box press. No, it's just a round pyramid cigar, and it is Ecuadorian Colorado Claro, sun-grown Ecuadorian Connecticut seed wrapper. Just one of the most special blends, I think, in Stogie Geeks history. I find it to be medium-bodied, so you can smoke it in the morning or really any time. Ugh, love this cigar. Everyone I've said given the cigar to is like, what is that? That was awesome. Where do I get more?
They have them next door or no?
They do not.
No.
Do I have one in my humidor here? I'll bring one in for you if I don't.
Yeah.
They're
like to try
spectacular.
One. Awesome.
Back to you.
This is a pretty new cigar that's hit the market. Love it in the Toro size, regardless of the time of day. But I do have it in the morning. This I would dub a great cigar for Sunday Fun Day.
Sunday Fun Day.
You ever have Sunday Fun Day?
What, we just sit around and smoke cigars?
Well,
that's what I would consider.
You sit around in the morning, and you got a bunch of friends, and they usually involves some Bloody Marys, and then you graduate to maybe some other stuff, and
so you basically sit around drinking and smoking cigars with your friends
in the day, in the morning,
I like
on a
that.
Sunday. It's
I'm down with that. I support this effort 100%.
It's a good time because this cigar can be really, really strong. It's a David P. Ehrlich.
Oh, yeah, in the morning, really?
Yes.
Good Lord, God bless you.
I could do a David P.
I'd be
Ehrlich.
green. You'd see my Bloody Mary coming back up.
Have to be. Oh no, I would not do the David P. Ehrlich with a Bloody Mary. I would probably, you had a Bloody Mary. Maybe you had some brunch.
You ate the cheeseburger that came on top of your Bloody Mary first, and the chicken wing, and the shrimp, and the bacon, and the whatever.
Had a Sunday.
I had one with a rib on it. It was near you. What is that? The smokehouse place, where they do the smoked meats. What is that called? It's in Warrens now. It's in Rhode Island. There's like the other side of the bay. That's like it's not even Rhode Island. It's like a different state out there because you got to go over a bridge or two depending on how you get there.
Right. Smokehouse.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. The something pig. It's the something.
Oh,
pig.
the peppered pig.
Yeah,
Peppered pig. Yeah.
Peppered pig.
Yep. Yeah. That's a good story.
They do a Bloody Mary with a rib on top.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's actually a co-op. It's connected to Irish pub.
Yes.
Quotes Irish pub. McBrownies, and it's.
So, like, if my Bloody Mary had like a rib or two on the top of it, I might be able to smoke a David P. Ehrlich.
David P. Ehrlich. Yeah, it's one of the cigars by Mike Ballady. He's created that blend, and I guess they kind of rebirthed that blend there.
I like the Robusto in that blend.
Yeah.
A lot. That's my favorite one in that blend.
The Robusto.
I don't agree with your Toro size. I like.
Yeah, I like the
Robusto
Toro, the Churchills. I don't know the Churchill side. The Gordo, I kind of shy away from some of the 60 ring gauge, the Gordo stuff. But I don't know. If it's if I had a Bloody Mary and I'm hanging, and then we switch maybe to a little bit of craft beer, and we're getting ready to rock and roll, I'd fire up David P. Ehrlich in the morning.
You're brave, braver than I am. Well, this segment's going really long. So the last one on my list is the Quesada Selección España. This can be done in either the Corona or the Petit Robusto. I think I've really come around to the Corona. I think it's really good. This was a I don't think they make these anymore. This was a limited release. Good luck finding them now. I think I found one in my humidor a while back, and I smoked it, and it was awesome. I think they're all gone. But they're really good. And this is Ecuadorian Arapiraca.
Mm-hmm. And what was it again?
It's the Quesada Selección España.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
They blended that first for the European market, and then they brought it into the U.S. Yep. We talked about it a lot in the previous show. It's got a very high ranking in the Stogie Geeks history, which is what I base my list off of, basically how we've ranked some of the medium body, medium strength cigars that I really like. That's how I base my list. The EPC Ernesto Perez Carrillo inaugural edition 2009, which I think is also Ecuadorian Habano. I want to say it's Ecuadorian Habano. It is not a Connecticut cigar. This was the 2009. This was the first cigar. Yeah, it's Ecuadorian Habano. This is the first cigar that Ernesto came out with when he left La Gloria Cubana and created EPC Cigars. And have you had this cigar, Joe? Mm-hmm. This is an awesome cigar. Awesome cigar.
Yeah.
Very mild to medium, I would call this cigar. Very subtle in its flavors. Beautiful morning smoke. They don't make these anymore.
Right.
You can probably still find them, but
if you found them, they would be older and in a humidor somewhere and
buried somewhere.
Yeah, you'd be going treasure hunting.
Yes, it's a treasure hunt cigar. Padron 1964 in the natural wrapper. Mm-hmm. I think overall, as a general choice, the larger sizes tend to be a little more dialed back. I think I like to smoke those in the morning. As well as most offerings from Arturo Fuente, not Opus X, but a lot of Arturo Fuente cigars you can try in the morning because they're not over the top strength and just their regular line of Fuente cigars. I think they're all. I've smoked a ton of those in the morning. Mm-hmm. All the different Fuente ones. I mean, the classic Hemingway blend is a Cameroon cigar. So.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of golf cigars are Fuente.
Fuente, yeah.
You go in the morning. You go in because the older you're. If you're in if you're golfing with older gentlemen, you tend to tee off at 650, 6:15. I'm like,
Good time to light it before.
I'm like, really? 6:15? You know, it's like getting the golf course at 5:50.
Yeah, that's when you almost want to go for a Connecticut, like a mild Connecticut, like before breakfast.
Yeah.
6 in the morning, I like to have like a really mild Connecticut.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and you know, there's something to be said when it's 6:15 and you're teeing off and then you light up a cigar because you're on the golf course.
That's
and,
right.
You know, you've had your first cigar by 7:30.
That's great. You got a good start to the day.
You got
All
a
right.
great start to the day.
That's our lists. That concludes our Debonaire Ideal segment for this evening. Stay tuned. Stogies of the Week coming up next.
Every new blend borrows from the past, and the Saga Blend No. 7 is the perfect combination of timeless knowledge of traditional tobaccos and the newer balance that today's cigar enthusiasts come to expect and love in a fine cigar. Leveraging 6 generations of experiences and traditions of the Reyes family, the Saga Blend No. 7 delivers a unique, full-flavored, medium-bodied cigar. This cigar is highlighted by a Brazilian wrapper over a blend of Central American and Dominican tobacco. Available in 3 sizes at an affordable price, the Saga Blend No. 7 is sure to please and bring together past and present. Rocky Patel Premium Cigars, the Tabaquero, developed and blended by Cuban master of tobacco, Hamlet Paredes. This cigar is an exciting addition to the Patel family, featuring traditional and rare sizes, handpicked by Hamlet himself. Smoke Hamlet Paredes today. For more information, visit them on the web at rockypatel.com, and be sure to follow Rocky Patel Premium Cigars on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
When we review or report on something, we don't want there to be any guesswork. We believe the information must be accurate and it has to be reliable. For what we review, the goal is hopefully to educate our audience, and at the same time, an equally important goal is in turn to get educated ourselves. What we want to do is earn the trust of our audience, and to do that, we ensure what we report is accurate, rumor-free, and teaser-free. The premium cigar industry is so dynamic, and every day brings something new. We wanted Cigar Coop to be an extension of that experience, so it has to be 365 days a year. We wanted to create a true media ecosystem and integrate Cigar Coop with the power of our Stogie Geeks programming network.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. This is our Stogies of the Week segment with Paul and Joe. That's right. We got lots of cigars to talk about. I'm going to start. I smoked the La Rosa de San Diego Maduro Robusto. This is a relatively newer player to the market. Came out in 2015. This was a good little Maduro. It's a San Andreas Maduro. You were talking about San Andreas earlier, Joe. San Andreas Maduro. You know, it was good. Little smoke. It had a really heavy earth kind of flavor to it. And a little bit of spice and pepper. I give it a 5. One of the better ones I've tried from La Rosa cigars. It was good. It was good. You know, did the trick. Scratched the itch in the car, coming back from some appointment or something, I think is when I smoked it.
Afternoon?
It was morning. Yeah. No, it was afternoon.
Afternoon?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. Obviously, I don't know when I when I did anything. I left my phone at home today.
Is that a bad thing?
No, it was good. And then my wife had to bring it to me. Then it was bad.
It's amazing how you're like you stopped in your tracks. Like, oh my God, I don't have. You know what I mean? You breaks away all the
here in the
communication.
office is not a big deal. It was actually nice. No one bugged me.
I'm glad I didn't have to text you today.
That's right.
You had given me the Hoyo La Amistad.
Yes.
Interesting. When we talked about this last week when you weren't here and with Will and.
I was gonna say this was on Cigar Aficionado's top 25 list of 2016.
Yeah, it was on one of the things, and I didn't have, and then it was amazing. It was one of those things where I went back and I was like, oh, I have this, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And interesting smoke. When I first lit it up, I was like, whew, like huge. I'm like, this is full. It was this afternoon, about 2:00 in the afternoon, and I was like, this is gonna be, like, might make me dizzy. Like, it was that, it was that, and then after the first inch, it just settled right into a smooth smoke, because I was a little nervous. I'll be honest with you. I guess this General Cigar collaborated with AJ Fernandez to create this. I put in my notes, expect this to be full-bodied, because I don't want to mislead any listener who's say, well, okay, this is a medium cigar. Like, if I wasn't on Stogie Geeks here, I would say, yeah, it's a medium cigar. When you first light this up, you're like, whew, like.
How did you say that?
I was concerned. I was like, oh man, this could be my first angler.
No.
I was like, oh boy, you know.
And, I find a lot of that's age, though. When you first light it up, if it takes some time to settle, I find age really affects that that first inch, and I forget why. Someone, I think, explained it to me once, and I can't remember why. I don't remember why. Something about the way the cigars age. We've talked about that because a lot of times, the first part or the last part will be a little rough, and it's amazing how age can kind of settle that out.
I'd be interested in to see, are those, well, they're relatively newer, like last year, right? Last year they came
Something
out?
to do with leaf placement, where they place some of the leaves and the age at different times. Something about that.
Okay, like I said, when I first had this, I was like, whoa, like, okay, this is once you get past that first, you got to get through it. You got to get through it, and once you get through that, there it settles in so nicely. It was awesome. I gave it a 5.
Nice.
That
was one of the ones I think I smoked later in the day.
If it didn't change, it would be lower, because it was pretty intense, and I like strong stuff. You know what I mean? I like strong stuff. Today, that was the first cigar that I had today. At 2:00 today, so it was one of those things where I was a little concerned the first inch.
So I smoked, and I've reviewed some of these on the show. Will's actually posted reviews on all of these. This is the Ernesto's Humidor #1. He has a Maduro, a Colorado, and a Connecticut. And I think kind of like in order, the Maduro's good. Like, I'd call the Maduro probably a 5 out of this one, right? And it's getting better with age. Like, the Humidors have been out for like a year now, and the Maduros, it is really good. I find that it different from like the final third of this one's kind of, it gets a little wonky in the final third for me in the Maduro, but it's a good cigar. It's a 5. The Colorado really came around. This one's smoking really good. This one's like a box split, in my opinion. And these are all Toro size cigars. There's full write-ups on them on our site. The Colorado is really good, really getting much better. And the Connecticut, so it comes with Maduro, Colorado, Connecticut. Have you ever seen these humidors, Joe? I'll give you one of each before you leave tonight, so you can try them. The Connecticut is like out of this world. Mm-hmm. The Connecticut's like fight Chuck Norris at this point for me, dude. Oh my God. That thing is so good. And now when Will posted his original review, Will said it was a 5. But this Connecticut it could very well be in the running for like your favorite Connecticut, because it's really like strength and body. It's not anywhere near any other. And then when you look at it, you're going to be like, that's not a Connecticut. Like, it's a dark Connecticut wrapper on it. But it's just awesome. It's awesome. It's a really much fuller bodied Connecticut, but without any of the spice and pepper components. So when you smoke it in the morning, I mean, it just hits the spot. And it smokes so slow. All the ones from this humidor, similar to this Opus X, like smoke really, really slow. Fantastic cigar. So I would say that at this point is fight Chuck Norris. if you can find these humidors, I think they're awesome. I actually bought another one because I've smoked through a lot of these, actually. I'm probably on my third bundle. So there's 10 of each cigar in the humidor, and you can order like refills. So I'm on my like third bundle of Connecticut's. That's how much I like them. So when you talk about getting addicted to a cigar, that's me with this cigar.
Really?
Yeah, and it's Connecticut. It's not like any other Connecticut.
I'm looking forward to that.
It's in a class all by itself.
Cool. Awesome. This cigar, a little bit of a history. Last week was my birthday. So,
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So, a cigar shop owner says, "You like Davidoff?" I'm like, "Who doesn't?" Right? It's a great stick. He actually had gifted me, I guess it's a pre-release cigar, which is just about to come out. It's the Signature 2000 702 series by Davidoff.
And they had a 702 that was released years ago. When we talked about
Yeah,
this.
they had I think it was released like in 09.
That was pretty good.
There, and
We have reviews of it on our site. That was good.
Yep, and I definitely gave this box worthy. I had this.
That's good, huh?
I had this, and I was blown away. You know.
Is this like a Selection 702?
Yeah, it's.
Is that what's on the band, Selection 702?
Yep. Selection 702.
Yeah, they released this a while ago.
They released
If I
it.
can find it.
Yep, they released it, and then I guess it's either a re-release. There had it. It's going to be available in stores here in February.
Oh,
So-
I didn't.
so-
Mark Jr. did not give this a very good review.
Is that the 2000 series or the
No, so there was a Selection. It's spelled weird. Selection 702. Mark Jr. in 2012 reviewed it. Sun-grown Ecuadorian wrapper, Piloto Camano Dominican Olor and San Vicente fillers. Did not give it a very good review at all. Yeah, said it was not good. And
Really?
then I reviewed that cigar in 2012 as well, and I called it box worthy. So go figure.
Yeah, I mean it's like I said, amazing taste. I got some roasted almond from it. Completely enveloped the palate. Like
I wonder if it's the same blend as it was released in the past.
Yeah, I wonder. We're gonna have to do a little bit more homework on that.
I said this was an awesome smoke, lots of great flavors, great smoking experience. $20 a stick was what they were retailing for. And this one was from the original release of these was in 2009, and I smoked it in 2012. So mine had like 3 years of age on it when I smoked it. So I'm not sure if it's the same blend. Did you get the blend on that one yet?
I did not. There wasn't that much information on it.
On the new one?
Yeah, on that one. I did not get the blend on that so much. It was just like I said, box worthy. Seek it out. It's coming out in February. It's great.
It was one of those pre-release things or something?
Yeah, I don't get that the whole pre-release thing. You know how that works and what certain vendors get it. I get it's I'm sure if you're a higher volume dealer, you would get privy to some of the new pre-release stuff.
Yeah, they're saying it's a Ecuadorian 702 wrapper. Coincidentally enough, the binder's an hybrid seed Ecuadorian hybrid Connecticut Habano Seco priming, and the filler is Dominican.
Yeah, comes in those little. Yep, it's exactly.
Yeah,
Yep, comes in those
in
little
little
boxes.
5-packs, yeah.
Little 5-packs. They're gonna have 10 packs. They're gonna have 20 and 25 as well.
A bunch of different sizes too.
Yep.
Apparently.
Yep.
The size I smoked was like it was the double R size. 7.5 by 50. That's what it came in. I don't know if it came in different size in 2009, but
I had the one right above that. Which one's that? Right there. Yep.
6 by 52. You had the Toro.
Yep.
Yeah.
Toro. Yep. Awesome smoke. Like you definitely.
Yeah, like I said, from my review, I liked the original one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'll be seeking those out and getting those and stashing
Nice.
some away and.
it's expensive to find the Davidoffs and buy even 5 packs of them and store them away, dude. I know they've got to have so many great releases. Well, the Claros that I talked about, those are hard to find. Those aren't as pricey as they're not $20 a stick though
Right.
for the Colorado Claro, but they do have some pricey I smoked a Pissed-Off Christoph Robusto. I talked about the Churchill last week. Smoked the Robusto.
Had that Saturday night.
Dude, I like this cigar a lot. It starts off kind of like you don't know where it's going kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found after that first third, like the sweetness just picks up. I love the sweetness on this cigar. It's not really like a dark fruit kind of, it's like a chocolatey sweetness is the best way I could describe it. There wasn't any fruit, like dried fruit, cherry kind of thing going on. No. But it was like chocolatey sweetness in that cigar is what I would call it. Yeah. And I like the Churchill. I like the Robusto. I think I rated them both the same. I think it was box split for both of them. Well, I call this one a 5. The Robusto is a 5.
Yeah, I would do a 5 on that. I would do a 5 on that for sure. It's
I don't know. You think about that sweetness you get when this picks up in the final third.
Right. It's interesting. It's an interesting smoke for sure. You definitely pick that up for sure. Definitely.
I thought it was going to be stronger than it was too, and I think it's part of the reason why I was really high on it because it's not overly strong, but it's full bodied. So, back to you.
Caldwell, Long Live the King.
See, I get confused with all his cigar names.
I know. Dude. They have King is Dead, Long Live the King, Eastern Standard.
Yeah.
For me, Long Live the King, King is Dead, then Eastern Standard.
Gotcha.
I'm not into any of the JV series stuff. They have a junior varsity series line. I'm not into any of that stuff. I know from a retailer perspective, the Gibraltar does very well for Caldwell. My only disappointment in that is you have to keep relighting it.
Yeah.
I've had a bunch of Caldwells. I don't know if it's the wrapper's moist or mine's. You know how like when, for me, when like Colorado wrappers hit, 08, 09, 2010 in that area, they're just moist wrapper maybe. I don't know. The Caldwells are just, I'm just always lighting it.
Yeah.
You just got to stay on it. It's not golfable. I'd do a try one.
I smoked what's the lighter one in that line?
The Eastern Standard?
Yeah.
It's got the guy, the old sailor guy on it.
Yeah, that's the one. I smoked the Robusto on that one. It's okay. It's like a 5.
Yeah.
It's a good little change of pace.
Yeah, I'd give it a try one.
Right. I've never been to Carl's a great guy. I've had him on the show before. I've been smoking my way through his line, and it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff.
Yeah, it's
But I'm not like jumping for joy. Like that's my go-to stick, and I keep trying to find that in his line because I know it's there.
Right.
Because he makes great cigars. But yeah, so far, and 5's not a bad rating. Like I said, it's a good change of pace. Actually, what was the one I smoked again? The
Eastern Standard.
Eastern Standard is a good change of pace morning cigar for me.
Yeah. It's a good. That was my first experience with Caldwell. Was the Eastern Standard, and then some of the JV stuff, and I kind of shied away from that a lot more quick. And then they had the King is Dead and Long Live the King. They also make a Blind Man's Bluff. I kind of toggle in between those three. If I'm
right.
It was Saturday. I was hanging out with some friends. I was like, I'll grab one of these. It's just me going into a humidor sometimes, and it also determines which place you go to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was at a smaller place and did a smaller humidor, and I was like,
it's a good. I find this stuff is a good change of pace kind of thing, which is good. I think he's differentiating himself in the market.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I hope that they would come up. I had one of them. It was gifted to me. It almost looks like how you can do this with computer. You know how you have like a negative image?
Yeah.
All right. So whatever that's called, is it called negative image? It looks like
there's a name for it. Yes.
It looks like the Eastern Standard,
the production guy,
sailor guy, but it has his silhouette of his face into that negative image.
Like you mean like a negative, like when you had an old school camera and you'd look at the negative. Kind of thing?
So it's that sailor guy. I would have to do a little bit of research to find it. Had that with Caldwell before it was gifted to me. The only thing that really I shied away from is it's in that $15 price range.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You really got to stand out in that $15 price range.
For $15, believe me, believe me, this is the year of the rooster, and people will go rowdy for that one, and that's a $40 stick, but when you put yourself in that $15 range, you really need to stand out.
I mean, you're up there with Padron and Davidoff in the $15 range.
Right.
Right.
And, you know, those are some tough shoes to fill.
Yep.
You know, especially, I mean, you can't compare it to anything Padron, David, and a go-to in that range. I think consumers would definitely shy away from that for sure.
I smoked a Tatuaje Havana number 6, Havana 6, right? Havana 6 Veracruz number 2 Robusto Grande is the size. Tatuaje Havana, this is the red label as we call it, right? It was re-released a couple years ago. When I smoked the re-released kind of Veracruz line, the redone Veracruz line, I thought it had way too much earth. It's a Nicaraguan Puro, and it had that Nicaraguan, like, volcanic soil earth, like really deep earth flavor, which it was too much for me. I thought it was good because it was so different, like that earthiness, like you really pick up on that kind of stuff. It's kind of like a herbal grassy note in a cigar. You're like, wow, like where did that come from? Like, because it's different from a lot of other cigars that have, not grass in it, right? So anytime you pick up those like flavors on the flavor wheel that are really pronounced, you're like, wow, like it's grabbing my attention because it's different, right? And then as you smoke it, you're like making the determination whether you really like that flavor or not. You do that with a cigar. And when I first smoked this, I'm like, I was digging the earth because it was different, but now I'm halfway through the cigar and I'm like, I needed to do something else.
And it
you know
doesn't.
What I mean?
It
doesn't.
Yeah.
And it just stays that earth. This one, though, has got some age on it. And I tell you, like, after a year or more in my humidor, that earth is really toned down. And I think it really, this is how cigars age, in my opinion, is that, you know, the leaves all kind of melt together, certainly, but some of those flavors that are really pronounced aren't as pronounced. And it allows you to pick up the other nuances in the cigar. And for me, the earth really toned down in the cigar so that I could pick up on some really nice hints of spice and kind of this woody note that was in the cigar, and it complemented the earth and it became more balanced. And I think that's what cigars, in my opinion, do with age. And you may agree or disagree, whatever. But smoking all the cigars we have on this, you know, in this show, in reviewing, that's where I kind of think age really comes into it, right? Like I think on this Opus X, for example, which we're still smoking. That leathery component really is very pronounced when you first smoke it. And over time, the leather kind of dials back a little bit and allows that kind of cinnamon sweetness to come through. You know, where I think it's kind of lost when it's a lot of leather. This cigar, same thing. Same thing. That being said, I liked it. I called it a box split. I wish I had bought more of these, actually, to age them in my humidor, because I thought it was really good. It has that, you know, it's interesting as I smoke Tatuaje, it has this like twang to it. I can't put my finger on it. Tatuajes all have this like twang to it. And when you light it up, you're kind of like, yep, that's Tatuaje. And I love that flavor because it kind of reminds me of when we first kind of like started the show and were really big into Tatuaje. And it kind of reminds me of all those cigars I shared with a lot of different people over the years, and that Tatuaje kind of flavor profile is still there today, which is good.
It is. I'm on the opposite side of the fence. I guess Tatuaje and Viaje came out along the same time. I've always shied towards the Viaje. Had the full moon in the morning. Did you ever have a full moon? The Viaje full moon, it's got a little pumpkin on it.
Yeah.
Comes out around Halloween.
Yeah.
It's got the pumpkin, and if you open up the label, it's got like a little Sleepy Hollow background and stuff like that, and strong stick in the morning. Like that's like, but that was a Sunday morning. It wasn't this Sunday; it was last Sunday, and it was one of those things where I lit it up, opened. I was in the shop. I said, I'm gonna do no computer. I'm gonna do a book. You know, I've been reading a book, and you know, I was just reading it, and I'm like, man, this is a good. So I had it with coffee in the morning, like first thing in the morning. When I say first thing, Sunday, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm at a cigar shop sitting there. The guys are watching the news, we're BSing, blah, blah, blah. And I had it, and they're like, you doing that in the morning? I was like, this is a great, I like it.
Nice.
You know, I like it. The full moon, I'm not too sure if they changed the editions every year, because they had a Halloween.
He does.
He switches it up and whatnot, but I don't know. I've always been on that Viaje side, just a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know if it's fair to compare them like that either, Joe, but...
No, it's not?
No.
Okay.
Two totally different... I think approaches, two totally different...
Well, maybe for me, I met them both reps at the same time.
They did gain popularity coming to the market in the same time.
Yeah, they came at the same time, started having them at the same time. I know from a retailer perspective, they were going, like, shops would either carry one or the other.
Oh, really interesting.
Yeah. Like, usually it's, there's some shops that are specifically Viaje, and then there's some shops that, carry. Some of the bigger ones have the luxury to carry both. I'm sure it's got to do with buy-in and all that stuff, but so I guess
there was a little bit of a rivalry. Now that you mentioned,
I picked up on the rivalry. I'm not too sure. And
we always smoke both.
Yeah. So
we've reviewed a lot of Tatuaje and Viaje on the show in the past.
Yeah, it's and I don't know. I just like the blends. Like I love this whole boutique thing. This whole boutique movement. It's great for the consumer for sure.
Yep. Hopefully that gets to continue with FDA.
I think it will.
I think a lot of people are more hopeful now.
I think it will.
With all these regulations in other industries putting the clamp on them, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm optimistic that it's gonna go. It's gonna probably be postponed. I'm optimistic.
At least postponed, I think.
I think postponed is probably the way to go. There's just too much at stake. I mean, would it wipe out an industry? It would wipe out the creativity of a boutique industry for sure. But then again, in a regulated market, they're just gonna have to change their business model.
That's it.
And try to, okay, this is how we did business, and now we have to do business a certain way. And then they'll focus on what's important for them at that with whatever lies down. But it's weird how it's all the whole industry is at. I think from a new product standstill. I know from a retail perspective, it's completely at. I've noticed now for a good solid 3-4 months, there's not new.
There's not a lot new.
There's not a lot new. There's a lot of great products out there. There's a lot of good stories to tell and great cigars to try. But, it seemed like in the boutique world, pre-2015, it was coming out often. I mean, I'm sure you guys were reviewing stuff and you had a list of stuff to try because,
Yeah, we still do, though. We still do.
But
largely because there was a big influx of new product at IPCPR, and now that's slowly. I think a lot of retailers got a lot of stuff to market, and now it's working on becoming largely more available, which is what we've talked about in the show in the past. So we are still seeing new stuff trickle out that way. What's going to happen after that is yet to be determined, I think.
This year's IPCPR is going to be pretty interesting.
It is.
It's going to, you often wonder as a consumer, is there blends or brands that have just been waiting for like the dust to settle? Because, from a business perspective, when you enter the market, timing is a lot, and right now, if you enter the market, maybe right after the August deadline, you're like, let me just wait and see, so you often wonder, like, if there's new products out there that are going to come out,
Did you have more on your list, Joe?
Not for this week, no. I kind of went to a lot of...
I just had one more. I think this is one you smoked, the Avo Synchro Nicaragua.
Oh, yeah.
In the Gordo size. It's called the special... I just keep clicking the wrong thing. In the special Toro, the Gordo size 6x60. It's really... a lot of us, and I wrote this in my mini review here, I said, a lot of us have been saying for a long time, pretty much you said before, right? Like, well... For a 60, it was pretty good. And I think it's time to just shatter that notion, right? Like, cigar's a cigar. Yeah, it might be a 60 ring. I think that we've seen kind of not the rise and fall, right? But we've seen the 60 ring be a new thing. We've seen it now become part of most lines that are out there today, if not many, I should say many lines that are out there today. Not even most. It's tough to say, but a lot of cigar manufacturers have this size in their line for whatever reason, whether it's economic, whether it's just they spent the time and blended a great 60. In other words, I don't think we should start, still reference it as like the unicorn. Like, oh my God, there's a 60, and, well, I don't like 60s. Because I tell you what, in all the 60 ring gauges that I've smoked, they're just cigars like any other now. I don't think they're not like a special new thing, or I don't like that particular size. I mean, you may have preferences and sizes, but my whole thing is I want to treat a 60 like any other cigar offering, cigar size offering in a line.
I think you bring up
this
a
is
good
a great
point.
example of that, though, because this is a great cigar. This is a cigar, if I had the time, we'll go back to like finding the time, I would reach for this cigar a lot. In fact, I call this a box split. It's probably one of my highest rankings for a 60 ring. I would call this a box split. This is like a fantastic smoking 6x60.
Yeah, I agree. I think 60s are here to stay.
Yeah.
I think a couple of years ago, sure, they came out. A lot of people tried to get the 60s, and the consumers like them. I don't know if it's a timing thing, or the fact that it could be like, from an economics perspective, it could be like a marginal utility thing, meaning like, hey, for an extra 75 cents, I get I get more, and I think maybe it started as that, but I think now 60s are definitely here to stay. I know from a couple of seminars I've been to for cigars, 60s is tough to make a good one, right? It's tough. It's tough. It's tough to the construction itself. If you have a good 60 and it stays intact,
but think about like ratio and leaf placement, right? And certainly the smaller ring gauges have that challenge because there's only so much leaf in so many different places you can put those leaves. When you go up to a 60, you just have so many more options.
Right.
You have more ratio to deal with, and you have more placement to deal with because of the length. Now, when you go to a Robusto, I feel like that's one of the normal sizes, because you can really balance a 50 ring gauge by 5 or 5.5 in terms of ratio and placement. I think when you start to deviate from that middle of the road cigar sizes, Toro, Robusto, Churchill, when you start getting outside of that, I think the decisions for leaf placement and ratio become more difficult, and the smaller changes you make can completely change the cigar. And since you have a lot more of those decisions to make, like which leaves you take out in a smaller ring and which ones you put more of or less of in a 60 ring, those problems are kind of compounded in both situations, which I think is why traditionally been much tougher to blend Lancero in 60 ring.
Yeah. My Avo Cinco story, right? First time I had one, I was at a golf course, Fenner Hill. We were like 5 foursomes deep, so that's about 20 minutes till you tee off. So I lit it up. First hole par, second hole par. Then after that it was bogey, double bogey. It got worse, right? And I says, but the cigar's good. I was like, but the cigar's good. And for a 60, it is golfable. You can't smoke that.
No, construction was great.
Construction's amazing. If you're golfing or fishing, or doing
it burns really well. It has really good construction.
Yeah, for sure. For a 60, I was, I lit it up because, I was like, it is, and it was great. It stayed intact.
And you get a lot out of that too.
Yeah,
that cigar. It's got great depth of flavor.
And it does have that blending, that smoothness on the palate that Avo brings to the table. Avo,
and it's not in that grassy herbal category at all.
Nope, it's different. It's definitely a good cigar. You gave it a box split or box?
I gave it a box split.
Yeah. Split box and hit some balls or go fishing. You'll have a good time. For sure.
We're going to do all that and film it.
It's going to be awesome.
Sorry, sweetie, got to go golfing. It's work. Got to film it.
I like it.
Sorry, sweetie, we're going fishing.
Fishing. I'm not too good at fishing. I don't know.
I'll teach you. I'll tell you what. You teach me golf, and I'll teach you fishing. How's that?
I did wear fishing socks for you.
Those are fishing.
Yes, I got little lures on the socks, and
I'm a big freshwater fisherman.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know the difference in what you fish for and all that stuff. But
I vaguely followed you when you said like par and bogey.
Yeah,
I was like barely keeping up. So we're good. That's it.
It's gonna be a good summer.
Look for all that and more on upcoming episodes of the Stogie Geeks. I want to thank everyone for watching this evening. We'll see everyone next time.